Hello and welcome to this brand new channel. I am your friendly neighborhood random librarian and I'm really excited to talk about all things books and library life here on YouTube. We're just gonna lean into the weird lighting that's happening at the moment because it's still summer here in Boston. I have a tree next to my window and I don't think there's a way that we can fix this. So today we're going to kick this channel off with a really long delayed book haul from the American Library Association conference that happened earlier this summer. So I have kind of split the books into 3 categories, gradually getting more and more excited for each category. So we're going to start with the ones that I'm least excited for, but still really excited for, and end with the ones that I am like shaking in my boots waiting to read. There's a lot to get through, so we're going to try to do it quickly. But also there was so much more when I first got home. Library conferences are bananas. It's just books everywhere and people wanting to talk about books and authors, and it's so cool. So I already gave a bunch of different books to friends, to family, to coworkers. So this is kind of what's left over. I had a full carry-on duffel bag on my back, packed to the brim with books and like the few articles of clothing that I brought with me for the weekend. And then they also gave out tote bags everywhere you went. So I had 2 massive tote bags with like the flat bottoms. I had that filled to the brim with books, and then I stuffed it in the other one so that I could put it under the seat in front of me on the airplane and nothing would go anywhere. So I have 19 books to show you today, and I think I might have had another like 10 that I left in DC with friends that I was staying with there or friends that I was seeing there, and then maybe even another 10 that I've already given away. So all told, it was anywhere between the ballpark of like 34 and like 55. It was so fun. Anyways, my TBR pile was already huge before this conference, and now it is staggering. Let's dive in with the books that I was less excited about, and then we can make our way towards the ones that I can hardly wait to read. So, first on this list is this book called Chances Are ... by Richard Russo. So, it's not that I'm not excited for this one, it's that I'm confused by the marketing. So, right on the cover it says winner of the Pulitzer Prize, and that usually is a great, like, you know, benchmark that you can judge an author by. And this is how they kind of decided to introduce the book to readers, potential readers. It's a letter on the back from the vice president editor-at-large at Penguin Random House. And he decided to start it with, "Dear colleagues, Rick Russo has been going from strength to strength to strength. His novel Everybody's Fool, a sequel to his early on Nobody's Fool, came out in May of 2016 with his story collection Trajectory exactly a year later, followed exactly a year later by his essays in The Destiny Thief. And now will publish his next great book, Chances Are ... at the end of July. I couldn't be more honored and delighted to give you this brief introduction." That doesn't introduce anything. I haven't read any of these other books. That doesn't mean anything to me. And, like, it's also pretty repetitive. Like, you're an editor-at-large. You are the vice president. You should be better at this. Anyways, this book, from what I can gather from the rest of this weird little letter that he has written us, I don't know if I'm a colleague, but this letter that he has written to people getting advanced reader proofs. It's set in Martha's Vineyard. Apparently Rick knows this place like the back of his hand, and its idiosyncratic mythos infuses the book with hopes, regrets, and dreams. Post-Labor Day September, story between 3 6-year-old men on Martha's Vineyard. Friendship, lives, the past, secrets, all that good stuff. I feel like I could get into it, but this last part actually was the thing that was most off-putting for me. So it said, finally, with this summary setting, chances are is an essential component of both vacation and staycation. A cause for celebration no matter where you read it, and also a present you'll want to give your friends come Christmas time. This is the rare book that's perfect for every single holiday of the year. They're trying so hard to make this like, you're gonna want this book, you're gonna want this book, you're gonna want this book, but they tell you so little about what is actually in the book. Like, that's what's annoying to me. So that's why this is like in the further down pile for me. And if I knew who Richard Russo was, I am sure that I would be more excited about this because they talk him up so much on the back, but they're references that I don't get as someone who's never read one of his books. So that's Chances Are. To be fair, the cover art is great. And yeah, basically as I go through these, if there's a book that you want me to read and you want me to review, please let me know in the comments below, and I will bounce those up to the top of the TBR pile. But yeah, maybe save it until the end of the video so we can get through all of these books before then. So another one that I picked up is this book, which is gorgeous, called Dig by A.S. King. The inside cover says, "The Shoveler, the Freak, Can I Help You, Loretta, the Flea Circus Ringmistress, and First Class Malcolm. These are the 5 teenagers lost in the Hemmings family's maze of tangled secrets, only a generation removed from being Pennsylvania potato farmers. Gottfried and Marla Hemmings managed to trade digging spuds for developing subdivisions and now sit atop $1 million bank account. Wealth they've declined to pass on to their adult children or their teenage grandchildren. Because we want them to thrive," Marla always says. "What does thriving look like? Like carrying a snow shovel everywhere, like selling weed at the Arby's drive-thru window, like first-class tickets to Jamaica between cancer treatments, like a flea circus in a trailer park, like the GPS coordinates to a mound of dirt in a New Jersey forest." As the rot just beneath the surface of the Hemmings' suburban respectability begins to spread, the estranged grandchildren gradually find their way back to one another, just in time to uncover the terrible cost of maintaining the family name. With her inimitable surrealism, A.S. King explores how a toxic culture of polite, affluent white supremacy tears a family apart, and how one determined generation has a shot at digging its way out. So this sounds pretty good, I'm not gonna lie. Family dramas tend to be hit or miss for me, so that's why it's in this like bottom of the pile. And it also feels maybe like it's trying too hard to be part of the current moment. There are like a lot of trigger words going on in the news right now, and white supremacy is obviously one of them, so that kind of, I mean, it either could be great or it could be kind of like, that wasn't necessary. So that's kind of where I'm falling with this one. Also, surrealism seems kind of weird to include in a story about like what you're hoping will be like a real feeling family. So here we are. Those are my like first impression thoughts. So this is A Deceptive Devotion from Iona Wishaw, and it is part of a series, which is why it's kind of fallen in this pile for me. I definitely picked this one up because of the cover. I thought it was really beautiful, and I love a good detective story. So this is a mystery. Lane Winslow and Inspector Darling, which someone had fun with that name, are in the middle of planning their wedding when an elderly Russian woman comes to Nelson seeking her missing brother. Lane, proficient in Russian, feels obliged to not only act as her translator, but also to take her into her home. Darling and a new constable set out to investigate the missing man's whereabouts, but when a lone hunter is found murdered in the hills above King's Cove, the new gruesome case takes top priority. Lane's efforts to distance herself from her past are undermined when she's alerted by a British agent that a fleeing Russian spy, a former ally, may be headed her way. Bound once again by the Wartime Secrets Act, Lane must keep this information from Darling, even when it impacts their relationship and possibly his case. I really like the sound of this, but it's in the bottom pile or the bottom grouping for me because I haven't read any of these other books, and it seems like you might need to before getting into this one, just the way that it talks about like bound once again, and like this is their past relationship, and like here's what's going on, and like all this other stuff. So I feel like there's a lot of missing information for me going into this book, but it does feel like it could be something that I get into. Like it could be a series that I really like. This grouping is the Jean Harlow Bombshell by Molly Cox Bryan. So this is a mix between like an actual biography and a story about a biographer. And the cool thing about this is Molly Cox Bryan is actually Jean Harlow's like relative. So I think she was doing research about her relative and then decided to turn it more into a fiction type of story. But she did find her Jean Harlow's signature and had a stamp made out of it, so that you have both the author, I have both of the author's signature and Jean Harlow's little autograph on this first opening page, which I thought was a really cool touch. It's a first in a series, so I haven't jumped into it just yet. But it says, when it comes to writing Golden Age Hollywood biographies, the pen really is deadlier than the sword. Justine Turner is a world-famous biographer of Hollywood stars. She's also Charlotte Donovan's overbearing boss. So it comes as no surprise when Justine calls an emergency meeting related to her latest in-progress biography. It is a surprise, though, when Justine up and dies before their urgent discussion can begin. In the wake of such a tragedy, all Charlotte wants to do is finish the Jean Harlow biography that Justine started. Instead, she finds herself in grave danger, stalked both online and in person by a drop-dead Jean Harlow lookalike. Together with Police Sergeant Den Brophy, is that a name? Brophy? Charlotte uncovers shocking revelations, but will these revelations be enough to catch the killer? So it sounds pretty fun. I love Golden Age Hollywood glamour style things. The cover is really fun. It's kind of campy. I'm just a little worried about author insert, because she is a biographer for this person and this person is related to her. So I want it to be great, because obviously she put so much of herself and like her time, passion, love into this book, but at the same time that makes me really nervous, because when an author very clearly loves something and identifies with it so much, sometimes reality can get chucked out of the window. So that's what I'm nervous for in this one. Obviously I don't know if that's the case. Hopefully it'll be a fun read. Maybe I should have realized this while filming this monster of a video, but 19 books and counting is going to be a bit too long. So if you want to watch part 2 or the middling books, there'll be a video for that, and there'll be a third video for the ones that I'm most excited about, and I hope you enjoy all 3. Bye!